I'll wait for confirmation. Should I start now?
Erin, go ahead.
Salam sejahtera and a very good afternoon to Yang Berbahagia Professor Technologies, Dr. Hajah Rozia Muhammad Jano, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and International, exercising the functions of the Vice Chancellor University Technology, MARA. Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Hassan Abu Bakar, Chairman of Malaysia Business School Dean's Council. Ms. Irene Omar, AirAsia Group's President and AirAsia Digital. Encik Muhammad Sharil bin Abdullah, Director, Community and Industry Collaboration Division, Department of Higher Education. Puan Nur Hasniza binti Mat Saleh, Principal Assistant Director, Academic Excellence Division, Department of Higher Education. Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Syed Jamal Abdul Nasir Syed Muhammad, Dean of Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School, University Technology, MARA. Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Nuryati Ahmad, Dean of the Faculty of Business and Management, University Technology, MARA. All Deans of Malaysia Business School, Deans of UITM faculties, and distinguished guests, welcome. We are all gathered here today at this very special event organized by Malaysia Business School Dean's Council and hosted jointly by Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School and the Faculty of Business and Management. Both Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School and the Faculty of Business and Management are entities within University Technology, MARA. This event, so aptly called CEO Talk, Digital Transformation that AirAsia Experience, is the first initiative by the Dean's Council to bring a confluence of the industry and academia. Both Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School and the Faculty of Business and Management are honored to be given this privilege to jointly host this event. I will be your Master of Ceremonies today. Before we begin the Dua recital, let me just briefly run through the event program. After the Dua recital, we will have the pleasure of hearing the opening remarks from Yang Berbahagia Professor Technologies, Dr. Hajah Rozia Muhammad Janor. For an hour or so after, Ms. Irene Omar will deliver her much anticipated talk. This part of the event will be moderated by Associate Professor Dr. Siti Halijah Sharif. A short question and answer session will follow. Before we adjourn, Yang Berusaha Professor Dr. Hassan Abu Bakar will then deliver the closing remarks. We target for the event to end by 1:45 p.m. Without further ado, we would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Firdaus Muhammad Hatta for the Dua recitation.
Al-Fatiha. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. حمدا حامدين حمدا شاكرين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيدا. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلالك وجهك الكريم وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما اللهم أكرمنا ولا تهنا اللهم أعطنا ولا تحرمنا اللهم أجرنا لا تؤثر علينا وارضنا وارض عنا Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Praise be to God, the Lord of the world. Peace and blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, and for those who follow his example till the day of judgment. Allahumma, Allahumma ya Allah, on this blessed afternoon, in conjunction with the program CEO Talk, Digital Transformation, the AirAsia Experience, we beseech you and grateful towards you in favor of all the infinite blessings to us, your humble servant, to live in safe and prosperous life. We seek your blessing for a flawless progress of this event from the beginning till the end. We seek your guidance to steer clear of events that would be detrimental to the progress of this event. Ya Latif, Ya Rahman, please bless us with your tawfiq and hidayah. Please guide us to greatness, peace, glory, and prosperity in this world and the hereafter. Make us a responsible intellectual. Grant us with a valuable knowledge that will be beneficial to mankind in order to gain your mardatillah. Make us your righteous servant that follow your commands and neglect the sinful act. Please forgive us for our wrongdoings. Ya Munzil al-Barakat, bestow peace to our beloved country, Malaysia. Preserve us from any threats, disease, and disaster, neither man-made nor natural disaster. And to you, Ya Allah, we ask for security and prosperity upon us, our leaders, and our country. Bestow patience in us in order to face the challenges from you. Please accept our deeds and please reward us accordingly. ربنا ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين. تقبل الله منكم. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Firdaus. Now I would like to welcome the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International, exercising the functions of the Vice Chancellor of University Technology Mara, Yang Berbahagia, Professor Technologies Dr. Hajah Roziah Muhammad Jano, to deliver the opening remarks.
Thank you, Wan. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Professor Dr. Hassan Abu Bakar, Chairman, Malaysia's Business School Deans, Council of Deans, our guest speaker, Ms. Irene Omar, President, AirAsia Digital, AirAsia Group, Encik Muhammad Syaril bin Abdullah, Director, Community and Industry Collaboration Division, Department of Higher Education, Puan Nur Hasniza binti Mat Saleh, Principal Assistant Director, Academic Excellence Division, Department of Higher Education, Professor Dr. Syed Jamal Abdul Nasir Syed Muhammad, Dean Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School, UITM, Professor Dr. Noryati Ahmad, Dean of Faculty of Business and Management, UITM, all deans from Malaysia's business schools, deans from UITM faculties, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to be here today with at the CEO Talk program organized by Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School and the Faculty of Business and Management, UITM. I'm delighted to welcome Ms. Irene Omar, albeit virtually, to UITM. Inshallah, once the COVID-19 pandemic eases up in the very near future, we hope Ms. Irene will be able to be present physically here at our university. Before we listen to Ms. Irene's talk, allow me to share a little bit of information about University Technology Mara. As the largest university in the country, UITM has, as of July 2021, a total of 912,239 graduates. We have produced that amount of graduates up to this point. And currently, our enrollment is 172,659 students ranging from a diploma up to PhD, and about 18,347 staff altogether, both academic and administrators. We are currently offering 504 programs in 35 campuses at stretch all across the country. We also have a strong body of academics with a total of 216 professors, to be exact. UITM aims to be globally renowned in the realms of science, technology, humanities, and entrepreneurship. Therefore, in order to achieve this vision, we intend to be the leader in the development of agile, professional Bumiputras through state-of-the-art curricula and impactful research. Among the many ways this can be attained is through a strategic alliance with the alumni and industries. Thus, each faculty at the university is encouraged to organize activities with the industries that bring impactful outcomes benefiting students and faculty members. Programs like today's CEO talk is just one of many activities that we believe can bring the industry closer to our students and staff. Exceptional and notable CEOs are sought to share their experiences and knowledge in steering an organization to success. Today's program was originally mooted by the Council of Malaysia's Business School Deans, which comes under the purview of the Higher Education Department of the Ministry of Higher Education, which supports Malaysia's Education Blueprint 2015-2025. As added information, the Council of Business School Deans was established to meet several objectives, such as to increase the quality of management and business programs offered by public universities, to enhance Malaysian business schools' global presence, and to enhance the school's engagement with the industry and community. I believe that today's program brings the Council a step closer to realizing its third objective. I hope this synergistic nature of such a collaboration will materialize between universities and organizations like AirAsia. This collaboration will assist Malaysia to meet the needs of professionals with specific skills, particularly in engineering, business, and information technology. This effort is aligned with the nation's aspiration to become a high-income nation in the near future. The World Bank is confident that Malaysia is likely to achieve the high-income economic status between 2024 to 2028. UITM is in a position to assist the country's transition by producing graduates with the skills that are essential for success in the 21st century. With ample opportunities for more productive collaboration between academia and industry, particularly with regard to research, development, and commercialization, I'm sure that this is more than achievable. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic and seemingly endless lockdowns in one form or another since March 2020, collaborative activities between universities and industries remain constant. With the advent of technology, this is made possible if you really think about it. Human reliance on technology has always been inevitable. I do hope the constancy of set collaborative activities will endure with ever-increasing impact on all fronts. Ladies and gentlemen, we have entered the fourth industrial revolution, an era of datafication, constant connectivity, and digital workforce. Our graduates must therefore be relevant as they enter the job market. It is at the university that we could train them to transform, to harness the potential of IR 4.0. Hence, we have invited here Miss Irene Omar, the president of AirAsia Digital, the person that has led AirAsia on its digital transformation journey, to share with us AirAsia's experience in accelerating its business in digital space. I really hope that all who have joined this program today will absorb as much information as possible and draw key takeaways from the session to enrich our lives. Before I welcome Ms. Irene to deliver her talk, I would like to thank the Council of Business School Deans for giving the opportunity to UITM to host this program. Congratulations to Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School and also to the Faculty of Business and Management UITM on successfully organizing this program on behalf of the university. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. And now I will pass the floor to the moderator, Associate Professor Dr. Siti Khalijah Sharif, to take us through the next part of today's event.
Thank you, Dr. Yvonne. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to all distinguished guests and participants, academia, students and staff from higher institutions of learning in Malaysia, and welcome to our international friends. Today we are pleased to welcome Ms. Irene Omar, our special guest from AirAsia. Ms. Irene Omar is the AirAsia's Group's President, AirAsia Digital, and she will be sharing an hour with us on digital transformation, the AirAsia experience. But before that, allow me to introduce our distinguished speaker. Ms. Irene Omar is AirAsia Group's President, AirAsia Digital. She is responsible for AirAsia Digital Strategy, promoting innovation throughout the group and encouraging collaboration across AirAsia businesses and markets. She oversees large digital strategic group-wide initiatives to help transform AirAsia Group into a global, cloud and data-driven and platform company. At AirAsia Digital, Ms. Irene is also pivotal in incubating and growing the digital and fintech businesses such as BigLife, BigPay, Teleport, Santan, and in transforming AirAsia.com into more than just an airline platform. She's also a non-executive director of Tune Protect Group Berhad. Prior to this, Ms. Irene was AirAsia Malaysia Executive Director and CEO. Ms. Irene joined AirAsia in January 2006 as Director of Corporate Finance, portfolio expanding quickly to also include Treasury, fuel procurement, and investor relations functions. Taking on these roles, she was instrumental in shaping the development of AirAsia into one of the fastest growing and most highly acclaimed airlines globally. She is an economics graduate of the London School of Economics and Political Science and also holds a master's in economics from New York University. Before I hand over the floor to Ms. Irene, we would like to inform that we will take few questions at the end of the talk. Stay tuned with us because there's going to be a surprise at the end of the talk for the participants who have asked questions, not just any questions, but good and interesting questions. These questions will be picked by our team for Ms. Irene to share her insights on it. With that, let's give a warm welcome to Ms. Irene to deliver her talk on digital transformation, the AirAsia experience. Ms. Irene, the floor is all yours.
Assalamualaikum, and thank you very much, Dr. Siti Halijah, for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here, and I would like to thank everyone for inviting me. So good afternoon also to everybody, to Professor Technologist Dr. Hajar Roziah Muhammad Janor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International, exercising the functions of the Vice Chancellor, University Technology Mara, Professor Dr. Hassan Abu Bakar, Chairman of Malaysian Business School Dean's Council, Encik Muhammad Syaril bin Abdullah, Director, Community and Industry Collaboration Division, Department of Higher Education, Puan Nur Hasniza binti Mat Saleh, Principal Assistant Director, Academic Excellence Division, Department of Higher Education, Professor Dr. Said Jamal Abdul Nasir Said Muhammad, Dean of Arshad Ayub Graduate Business School, University Technology Mara, Professor Dr. Noryati Ahmad, Dean of the Faculty of Business and Management, University Technology Mara, and all Deans of Malaysia Business School, Deans of UITM faculties, and distinguished guests. So thank you so much for having me here. I feel really honored. I was just telling some of the Deans at UITM just now that my parents were probably the first batch of UITM graduates. That was in the 60s. So at that time, they were called RISDA, I think, RISDA College. So proud to be here, proud to share my experience. I was also a Mara scholar for a bit, although just for a bit, basically, but it helped me tremendously in terms of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to build my career moving forward. So I'm always grateful and always pleased to be able to share my knowledge and experience to everyone here. So I've been asked to talk about digital transformation, and I have prepared some presentation materials. So I will go through them. I will take my time in explaining it because it's not exactly the simplest thing that happened to us. It's quite complex. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of crying and consolidation and getting everybody to mentally prepare themselves and make sure that this is a success. So where we are today really depends on all the hard work that the whole team, the whole workforce of AirAsia did, really, right down from the board members, right down to the baggage handlers, and how we make use of the assets that we have, the assets that have been built by the airline, and how can we work that assets even more to be more than just an airline for AirAsia Group. So the digital journey actually started more than 3 years ago. In fact, we are probably the first airline that actually started selling our own flight tickets through the website. So that's way back in 2001, where we were the first airline in the region to do so. And we also started selling airlines through our airline tickets through our mobile app, and we were the first to do so back in 2009. So the whole digital journey and embracing technology has always been there, has always been in our DNA. And we always see that as how do we facilitate the business operations and building the business direction using technology itself. And more importantly, using data itself. And we have lots and lots of data. Data really coming from various systems that we have. Our booking system, where we have lots of data on consumer behavior and how they actually book, what they look for, what they explore, how they use our website, how they use our mobile app, how they actually transact, and what they look for after they have transacted, and so forth. We have lots of data about our own business operations, data from the aircraft movements in the airport, data from flight operations, and so forth. We have ground movements of data as well, and not just on the aircraft movement, but also our own workforce movement and so forth. So all this data were in various systems and so forth, and they're all siloed. And we felt that, you know, how can we make use of this? We are sitting on a huge database, and if we could put them all into a foundry, into one house, that we could visualize it well, that we will know and understand how do we interlink one data into another and make sure that we optimize the performance at every point in time, not just the performance of our operations, but optimize also the revenue that can be generated from our passenger base and consumers and so forth, basically. So the whole idea was that, you know, how come we actually have all this data really? And I think it started from the fact that when we first started our business as a low-cost carrier, we were very mindful to get to know our consumer and customer at the beginning, at the very point of selling. We didn't outsource our operations of business to vendors. We didn't outsource our sale of tickets to travel agent. We didn't outsource the menu and in-flight catering to outsiders. Everything that we did in-house. And the reason we do that is because we want to own our own consumer. We want to understand them. We want to understand why they do a certain thing, how they behave, so that we could always offer the best for them. And as a result, you know, we actually build up that database over years, more than, it's coming to 20 years by the end of this year, basically. So there's a rich database there that we could understand the whole operations and so forth. And we thought with this rich database, what can we do? Can we be more than just an airline? Can we be more than just flying people from one point to another point? And if we go to the next page, this is where AirAsia is today. This is AirAsia Group. From just flying people from one point to another point by becoming, you know, the low-cost carrier of airline in the region, the biggest in the region, we have moved into various areas. And all this started because we wanted to be the best as a low-cost carrier. We wanted to be number one in the world. And as far as the number of passengers that we have carried to date, I mean, before COVID, of course, we ranked number 3 in Asia after all the Chinese airlines. And this is in relation because of how we optimize the use of the aircraft, how we utilize the hours per aircraft so that we could fill in many passenger base, many routes, so that we could earn as much as we can when we fly the plane, as opposed to have them more on ground and so forth. So all that journey started because we want to know our consumer. We want to be able to own them. And as a result, we have collected a lot of data, and it's huge. And we felt that with this data, we could be more than just an airline. And we thought that we could actually become a travel and lifestyle tech company. And this is something that we thought of more than 3 years ago. Because you see, we have over 100 million passengers that we fly per year around the region, not just in Southeast Asia, but also in Asia. We have over 50 million unique visitors per month that goes to our website. We have over 600 million people in our database. We have a lot of data about how the engine works when we fly many hours and so forth, how the ground crew actually works together with the flight crew in order to make sure that the flight move into a certain in a certain hours, and with tight turnaround time to make sure that everything is precise, because we don't want to waste any time, because any minutes, any turnaround time that's been extended, you're actually losing the opportunity of flying another route. And if you're losing the opportunity of flying another route, that's another revenue base of 180 passengers that you're losing. So in every aspect, we want to optimize the way we work, whether it's in terms of productivity, cost efficiency, and also revenue and so forth. So as a result, we have huge network. We have over 330 routes, over 80 destinations. And we have a very strong brand. a brand that is recognized globally. And a market share that is huge in every country that we're based. We have AirAsia Thailand, AirAsia Indonesia, AirAsia Philippines, and now AirAsia India, and so forth. So the reason why we have these joint ventures is really because we wanted the airline to be locally incorporated, meaning that they can fly domestically in the respective countries that we're based, and they can also take advantage of the bilateral rights from one country to another country. And this is how we expand our network. And this is how we were able to get 330 routes and create a breadth and depth of the network which no other airline has, basically. And we fly into third-tier cities and secondary cities and all the cities which people have never heard of, and we created the demand from it, right? So all these assets that we have created, huge database, huge network, huge global brand, which we actually spend a lot of time and a lot of hard work to build that brand and so forth. And also a database that is so huge. So all these assets, we feel, how can we make them even better? Even our own people too, because they have become an experts in having like that 15 minutes turnaround when the plane arrives, and then they turn around in 15 minutes and then make it ready for the next flight in 15 minutes and so forth. So our ground handlers, our baggage handlers, our pilots, our cabin crew, they have built a certain expertise and so forth. So how do we make, work these assets even more to create more value of the company? So from that airline, we saw the opportunity. Firstly, how do we build this? If I'm going to explain on the left-hand side of this chart, where it's focused more on the aviation. The right-hand side is AirAsia Digital, which I'm in charge of. I will spend more time on those, but I will start with how the airlines actually decided to spin off its engineering department to become an entity in itself, to spin off its ground handling department to become an entity in itself, and to spin off its in-flight catering food operations, and create a brand in itself called Santan, and become a franchise business for ground, for restaurants and so forth. So when we saw that we become an expert of so many things that we've been building, and by creating AirAsia as one of the largest and a renowned low-cost carrier in the world, we saw that our engineering team is also one of the best. And how can we create this engineering team which is very skilled, that they can offer just services also to other airlines and to the other aviation industry in this part of the world? So we decided to create Asia Digital Engineering, where the engineering team actually work in terms of not just looking at the operations of the AirAsia airline group within ourselves, but also to offer their services to other airlines that fly into our airport, or to other aviation, the whole chain of aviation companies, to assist them as well. So it became an engineering company that provides end-to-end solution, not just in terms of line maintenance, but also MROs, and it also looking at digital solutions to help with airlines to make their whole operations more productive and cost efficient and so forth. Then we also saw the opportunity of our own baggage handlers, our own ground staff, who's been an expert in managing millions of passengers and tonnage of baggages to put onto our aircraft and make sure that they turn around that plane and within that 15 minutes and so forth. So we decided to join venture with SATS. SATS is a Singaporean ground handling company, and we decided that, okay, let's cover all the airports that were based in the region. And as you know, we have over 70 or 80 destinations already in the region. Where the other airlines fly into our airports, we can offer our services of ground handling. And where SATS have presence in other airports in the region where we don't, then they will offer that services as well. And so we decided to create further value of our own ground handling and team and from a department to see how we can create that into a revenue generating company. The same thing with in-flight catering. We take great care of our menu. We want to make sure we have the best meals, the best airline menu in the world. And my own boss himself really take care in terms of like what nasi lemak should be there, what should we have roti chana, should we have unhealthy options. And it really is because food is really something important for our own culture, right? It's not just Malaysian culture, but regionally, everybody loves food. And we want to make sure when they fly us, they enjoy the food. And how do we create a brand around it? And hence, we created Santan as a brand. And during the pandemic, I mean, we always have this in our head, right? If we have the best food and people want to fly us really because of our meal and our menu, why not also offer that on ground? So this was an idea that we always have had, even before the pandemic. We should create a franchise restaurant around the region that will also allow small-time entrepreneurs to be part of it. So we decided to have a franchise model for people to have Santan restaurants around the region. But so far, we've only started in Malaysia first, but the plan is to expand it all around the region. And as a result, we decided to create an in-flight catering company, which is called Santan, basically. So if you could see what we have built, the expertise that we have created, we saw tremendous further value creation for that to be spun off into an entity. And we have our own set of management to lead it and to work with other industry experts in the region to further create better value for that entity itself. So that has been that philosophy. Then comes with data. As I mentioned, we have huge database, data that we could work with, data that we could play around with, data of the whole region really in terms of the consumer database that we have, understanding that behavior and why and how often they fly with us and what they do when they fly to a certain destinations and so forth. As a result, we thought with that huge traffic coming to our website, coming through our mobile app and so forth, it'll be such a waste to just only sell our own airline flight tickets. What can we do to upsell and cross-sell to this wide audience that we have, this huge audience that we have on that we carry on a yearly basis? And as a result, we decided that our own AirAsia.com can be more than just a platform that sells our own airline flights. We saw the opportunity that this AirAsia platform we could sell other things, but we don't want it to be a Rojak or a Pasar Malam platform. How can we build a unique selling point, the USP that you call it, basically, that people relate that to the super app into something that they know this is where they need to go to. Of course, we're strong in travel. So why do we need, firstly, we think, why do we need to sell our own flight tickets? Why can't we sell other airline flights as well? Because we know our passengers will also look at other airlines to check the prices before they check ours. And we're quite confident because of the way we run things and the way we take care of the cost that we will always offer low fares. So for us, it's like, no problem. Let's sell other airline flights so that at least the consumer will keep coming into our platform and they can do that comparison. And, you know, if we do our work well, we will always be competitive. Then we started thinking, apart from flights, how do we make sure everything travel related, the consumer will go to our app so they don't have to go to so many different apps. Sometimes it will take a family of 5 to travel somewhere to go into, that will take them 1 week to complete a transaction, from booking hotels to booking itineraries to booking whatever that they need to do when they fly somewhere, basically. So for us, we want to have a one-stop travel, all you need in there. So we decided to build up our inventories of hotels. We work with also other hotel aggregators as well. So if you look at our super app right now, you could see that we sell our own flights as well as other airline flights. We started selling hotels. We also have a very unique product called Snap, where we bundle up our own airline inventory, where we use data to pre-populate the passengers' behavior and their preferences and make a strong recommendation on the hotels which we know that they would like. So that's where we bundle up hotels and also our own flights to provide a unique proposition to our consumer, which you cannot find in other OTA or online travel agent and so forth. So what we did when we saw this, we felt that, okay, huge number of unique visitors and to our website and so forth. How do we create further value of this AirAsia.com? So we decided to strip AirAsia.com from the airline, create an entity in itself, and then we decided to start selling other line of businesses as well, not just our own flights, but other airline flights, hotels, all the travel-related stuff, itineraries, activities that you could find in various cities where we serve. We started selling medical tourism as well because we noticed our own passengers, they fly all around the world to get their medical checkups. They go to Singapore, some from Indonesia goes to Malacca, Penang, and also to Kuching. Some fly to Korea for plastic surgery, some go to Thailand for IVF and so forth. So it's a whole region here that we could create an interesting medical tourism. And people like to go for wellness, getaway, like they go to Sivasom in Thailand and that kind of thing. And we have a lot of that as in Langkawi and Penang as well that we could offer to the rest of the world. So we decided to create all this line of business that's travel related. And that's where our strength is. It has to be anchored by travel. But then when the pandemic hits and nobody was flying and so forth, and we saw the opportunity to reuse that database, that passenger database, how can we repurpose it and build our own e-commerce platform in AirAsia.com itself? And that's where you see that we've launched food delivery, we launch grocery shopping that we can deliver right to your doorstep. And we take advantage of our duty-free business partners and travel retail partners to create a whole range of beauty products that we could sell for a lot cheaper than others, and also to be able to deliver that to your doorstep as well. So we have created that e-commerce portion as well. And all this is possible because we understand the data. We actually work with the right kind of business partner to make sure that we're able to use this data and we're able to build it fast. And we work, and that business partner is actually Google. And they help us put a lot of things into cloud. So we're about 90% cloud-based already for AirAsia Group, basically. So then the whole idea of the AirAsia Super App came about. We create an entity, we put in a management in there and board and so forth. So they behave like a real business company and so forth, where this is a commercial platform that sells travel related, that has e-commerce, that has financial services, bite-sized financial services for users to actually see what they want to invest or where they want to buy insurance and so forth. And then we also have health, where the medical tourism has now been expanded into, hopefully in the future, to be a health tech platform as well. And then recently with our edutech business, we decided to park it under the AirAsia Super App group of companies, basically. So it's the idea of it. I'm sorry if I'm all over the place because sometimes when I say something, it leads to another. But the whole idea of this AirAsia Super App is to create a commercial platform that leverages on the user, the database, the market reach that we have, and really to make sure that the users come in frequently on a daily basis, as opposed to when we first used AirAsia.com to sell our own flights. User generally come around maybe once a month or so, because on average people fly 4 times or 5 times a year. So the velocity and the frequency of the use of the app or the website is a lot lower than if we were to put a whole lifestyle offerings in that super app, where we see that the velocity and the frequency and the use of that app and the website is at least 7 times more than what it used to be when we were just offering our flights. And there was an opportunity for us to build other businesses and create a true commercial platform for our users. So as we move along AirAsia Digital, where I'm in charge, the other business that we decided to create an interesting value is our cargo business. So it used to be run by our in the cargo department. It was part of the airline, but we saw the opportunity to create a true logistic player. We saw the opportunity to create an end-to-end solution of this logistic business. We felt that cargo shouldn't be us managing the belly space of our own airline group, because we were using that belly space of our existing aircraft in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and Philippines, and so forth, because we have a lot of frequencies and a huge route and network. So we were using that passenger aircraft, and that belly space for cargo is usually left empty. So how do we use that and make sure that we could earn revenue at every stop that we have in various routes? How can we earn extra revenue to make sure that that belly space is being used and we could move goods as well as moving people? So that's how it started at the cargo department. Then we saw that we could actually spin this off, create an entity in itself, and let's create a true logistic business that could support the super app business, the commercial platform that we have created. And why do we do that? Because of the huge network, the breadth and depth of the network that we have created in this whole region, where no other logistic company has. We have over, like I said, we have over 330 routes with over 80 destinations that we serve. And we go into deeper and rural areas as well. We go into 3rd-tier cities and 4th-tier cities and so forth. And we thought, okay, if we could make this work, we could create a true logistic business, not just on moving goods through what they call the middle mile using flights, but also if you could also address that logistic on ground, the first mile and the last mile as well, then we could really be a true cross-border logistic player. And that will enable also our commercial platform under the super app to be a real true marketplace where we could actually deliver goods of whatever that you have transacted within 24 hours, really, because we are capitalizing on the frequency of the number of flights and the breadth and depth of the network, and the fact that we understand how this cargo work and how certain areas are not transparent and how certain areas are actually really manual, and how can we make that simpler and make it more automated and more transparent, so that booking cargo is as easy as buying a plane tickets like our passengers. So the whole technology there has been relooked. The whole process of moving goods also has been relooked. And what Teleport has that is unique is that it has cross-border logistic that could help and facilitate the super app business and so forth. Then we have our financial services business called BigPay. It's a fintech business. So this is a company that we created from scratch. If you look at the companies that we have here, Super App was a spun-off from our AirAsia.com, and Teleport was a spun-off from our cargo department. Big Rewards is our loyalty points. Now, this is something that is important, really, because the loyalty points are the ones that create stickiness, and where allows consumers to keep coming to our site, our platform, and to continue to do the transaction and so forth, basically. So he has a lot of value. It has a rich database on understanding the customer behavior, and we could build a lot of customer intelligence and create a high value of customer lifetime value just by understanding how the points are being used and so forth. And I will go back to that points later. So in fintech, we created this from scratch because we saw how the consumer, how our passengers were traveling and how they have to change currencies whenever they travel somewhere, and they always go to the bank at the airport or money changer and they get charged with huge commission. And we thought like, hey, we have a lot of currencies based on the number of transactions from various currencies that's done in AirAsia itself. So how can we provide a better services to them? So it started with that. And then we saw the opportunity of turning this into a fintech business. And then we decided to apply for that sandbox for Bank Negara on that fintech, and we got it. And then the birth of BigPay came, and it has over 1.5 million users already in Malaysia. So we decided to apply for e-money license, and then we've got the remittance license as well, and then we've got lending license from KPKT as well. And we just formed a consortium to submit to Bank Negara about a month ago on digital banking license as well. The idea behind this is like, how do we serve the underserved? How do we serve the underbanked or the unbanked? And also businesses, small, medium enterprises, where they want the same services as a corporate, but they do not get that services because the banks wouldn't approve because they don't meet a certain checklist like what they want out of a corporate and so forth. So that's where BigPay comes in. So it has all the necessary license, like that makes them a virtual bank in Malaysia. They have e-money license and remittance license in Singapore. And they also have licenses that they're going to apply, and hopefully it will be approved very soon in Thailand and in Philippines. So all these businesses that we have created, they are meant to create further value from what we have created from a low-cost carrier, basically. They're meant to work the assets that were created to be bigger than what it is or so. And they're meant to have that business to be rolled out in the region. It's not just meant to be a business in Malaysia only, because we have created that presence in Southeast Asia. AirAsia is a Southeast Asia company. So how do we build these businesses and make sure they take advantage of the markets we have already created in Southeast Asia? And they're also meant to serve the masses. The super app is meant to do that. Teleport is meant to do that as well, and so is BigPay. So that has been our underlying philosophy of doing business. It's meant to be for the masses. It's supposed to be regional. And when we built these businesses in separate companies, the whole idea behind it is to ensure that the products and services that we offer, we also offer it to other industry players. To offer other companies outside our ecosystem, right? The ecosystem that we have is meant for us to kickstart and jumpstart and scale up fast. But we also need to create value further than just serving our own companies. And the only way to create further value and to have exponential growth also is to be able to offer these services to other industry players. And we're not afraid. Yeah. So Teleport is not just meant to serve the delivery orders that the consumer has in Super App. They're also looking at helping the delivery at Lazada and Shopee and so forth. And the same thing with BigPay as well. It's not just meant to leverage on AirAsia Super App database, but they're also having their own database that they grow organically, that they can offer services of users who may not have been in Super App, but they manage to reach out to as well. So that's the whole idea of this. The where we are today, how we have come so far, how we have pivoted in a very short time, And really because of us from the beginning, understanding our data, knowing the value of that data, knowing that we need to own our consumer base, and understanding how to use technology to facilitate the business that we're creating or so. So we know what we want, and we want the technology to be able to help us. It's not the other way around. People always think digital transformation is all about technology leading the way, but to us, business is always key. We need to know what we need to do, what we want to achieve, how we want to do it, and how does technology help us to get there? And how do we use data to help with the businesses to be able to achieve their goals even further? And as a result, this is what AirAsia is today. And there is this academy and AirAsia Farm and Big Rewards. There are very interesting things. And since I was given a lot of time, I will explain it. I mentioned about Big Rewards, our loyalty points. AirAsia Farm started last year. We established it in July last year. How this happened was because during the lockdown, many SMEs or micro entrepreneurs were suffering. So we decided to help the masses, and we said like, okay, why not you sell your products and services at our platform? Because all of them are mostly brick and mortar. So we tell them, why don't you sell them at our platform? And because it was quite a success, we did this campaign called SOS Campaign. It means Save Our Shop campaign. And about over 1,000 merchants signed up within a week or so and started selling on our platform. That we, farmers and fishermen came up to us and said that they have a problem. They could not offload all the produce in because they sell in tonnage. They don't sell in kilograms. And they have a problem in terms of how to offload this tonnage of produce and how can we help them. So we decided to match them with our merchants, and we went up to Ministry of Agriculture to give us a list of the farmers, and we have our own merchants on our platform, so we decided to match them. And then it became like a matching game, like I suppose Tinder or something, where it's a Tinder for farmers to match with the merchants and so forth. And it became a business in itself. And then we saw the opportunity to help the farmers and help the merchants. The merchants needed cheaper ingredients. The farmers needed to sell as much as they could. And we discovered the middlemen were the ones who's making the most, about 60% of the revenue goes to them. And how can we make this whole process more transparent? And that's where AirAsia Farm came in. And since we launched last year, many farmers sign up with us, and as well as merchants. And merchants are not just restaurants or supermarkets, but schools and hotels, offices, and so forth, basically. And the interesting about this is that we managed to identify really key produce that is unique to Malaysia that we could also export using teleport. So for instance, like durian or mangga harum manis, or even fresh seafoods from Sabah and so forth. We are already working on some contracts and deals where we could export this to China and so forth, and we're using teleport to help with that transportation. And this is how we take advantage of the whole ecosystem that we have created, so that we could do the necessary at a very attractive pricing, because the costs that incurred is always cheaper than if they were to go individually outside. Now, Redbeat Academy is very interesting, which I will explain later because I have a slide about it. And really, it's an academy that was just started because we wanted to reskill our own staff. The reason why we did that, because the whole digital journey, we realized that we need to restructure our own tech team. Because before, our tech team was just your typical ICT who was just looking at business as usual and so forth. It wasn't dynamic and robust enough to help us achieve our dreams of becoming a travel and lifestyle tech company. So we learned a lot from networking with people that we know at Silicon Valley and many other tech companies. We saw that, okay, we needed to restructure the tech team. We needed to have a team of data scientists, since especially we have lots of data that we need people to be able to know how to use them and how to suggest the businesses to use them and the business to work closely with the data scientist team. We need software engineers. We need product UI UX people, talent. We need cyber security experts. We need digital marketing experts as well. We need cloud infrastructure experts, and so forth. So we decided that we needed to recreate this tech team, but in doing so, we realized that it's very difficult to find this talent in this part of the world. Especially, we saw that many companies around the world are seeking for this talent, especially for those who are embracing IR 4.0. Any company that's embracing digital transformation will always be looking for the same talent. So we told ourselves, how do we do this? Because if we keep pinching talent from globally, and at the same time, there's not enough, there's a talent gap in this part of the world, how do we, we got to think something that would help in the long term. And, pinching talent will be expensive and will not be sustainable. And we decided that we need to emulate what we did with our aviation academy, where we train pilots from cadet all the way to becoming a captain, and then they have a whole career path ahead of them. From not just becoming a captain, they can then become a management pilot, they can become hub captains, then some of them become chief operating officers, some of them become examiners and instructors. So there's a whole career growth from them when they first start as a cadet pilot right after they finish SPM. Also, so we thought we need to build our own talent pipeline of tech. And how do we do that? So we decided to build this academy. It was meant to initially to actually reskill our own staff. We needed to make sure our existing tech team is upskilled and is of world class in terms of their skills and capabilities. And then we needed to make sure that the non-tech staff have the opportunity to reskill themselves, because as we do more and more machine learning work, using more data, we foresee that there will be hundreds of people will be redeployed. And as a responsible employer, how do we help them to be part of this digital journey, and they can embrace IR 4.0 and they can find jobs where we need jobs the most. And even if we cannot hire all of them, at least they're skilled themselves and be able to find jobs outside. So that was the whole idea behind it. But then it evolved into something bigger. When we first opened up to our own staff internally, they embrace it in a big way. Thousands sign up, and now we have pilots and cabin crew who are doing coding and becoming digital marketing and so forth. So it's a very interesting thing, and we decided to open up to the public, and I will explain that later on in the presentation. So if you could move to the next page, please. Data, as I mentioned earlier, how it's really important. We have a group data team called the Center of Excellence team that sits at AirAsia Digital. But that team focus on R&D work for medium to long term, and it looks at high experimentation and research and so forth. And they work closely with the respective data heads of each company. So all the data heads that you see in the previous slide, from Super App, from Big Rewards, from Big Pay, from Teleport, from the airline group, from Santan group and all that, will work closely with the group data head to be able to give them feedback and so forth, so that the Data Center of Excellence team will be able to create new solutions that could be rolled out in each entity and so forth. So data is centralized. The governance and policy in using it is very key. What the Data Center of Excellence team would do is to look at all the data that they have access from all the various companies, and they do, predictions. They do a lot of things. They look at how to optimize not just the performance and the revenue and so forth. And one of the biggest job that they're doing right now is to build a customer intelligence solutions. So they started off with building feature stores and understanding the customer segmentation and where they come from and so forth. And then they start building customer profiling and that customer feature store. And then from there, they build all the customer lifetime value and understanding their behavior better, and now they're working on knowledge graph data as well. So all this is to always be able to understand that data better and be able to increase that conversion rate better, so we could be highly personalized when you offer things to you, basically. And they also look at blockchain and OR kind of work, especially for teleport, as well as for the airlines as well. So it's really important to have a centralized data lake and a centralized data team that works closely with all the other data team that we have in the group. Next page, please. So how do we turn challenges into opportunities, right? So the pandemic hit us back in 2020, and nobody could foresee this. Nobody could expect this from happening. And it hit us the most because the borders were shut. We couldn't fly our planes. If anything, that if we could fly, is just probably less than 20% of the capacity, really. So what do? We could just sit there and cry and just wait for people to help us. But we felt that, look, we have already built an infrastructure and it's in place to help us to do other things. And the whole idea that I explained in terms of how we pivot and build new businesses, this all happened before the pandemic. This all happened more than 3 years ago, where we understood that data that we have. We understood what we need to do with it. We understood what kind of businesses that we should be creating so that we could optimize the use of this data. So we had to reimagine that business and product offering in many ways that we could. And we just, from reimagining one area of use cases that could lead to various areas of line of businesses and use cases. So we encourage that in our own workforce to make sure that happens. We repurpose our staff as well, right? Because we felt that if there is good talent, they can do anything. If people are smart and they are hardworking, they can do anything regardless what they were trained for at the beginning, basically. Like I mentioned, we could reskill our own staff to become digital marketers, to become software engineers, as long as they have the right kind of attitude and they are trained with the right kind of skill sets. We feel that they are able, if we give them the opportunity, they will be more than happy to excel in whatever thing that they choose. And we repurpose our staff, not just reskilling them for tech, but as you could see, the businesses that we have built and pivoted in AirAsia Digital, we have pilots now who is looking at managing the drivers in teleport or so. We have also people who are working in other areas like commercial or aircraft engineering who's doing other things to help build the businesses that we are creating right now. So with them, we feel that, we always encourage people to reinvent themselves and, that anything is possible if you put your mind and heart to it and make sure that you work hard. We reskill and upskill, as what I mentioned earlier just now, and to revitalize the SME community, because they have always been the heart of our operations. Even when we were as a low-cost carrier, SMEs are always there, and we always want to encourage them, because we feel without them also it's difficult for any economy to grow. And we want to make sure that we're always part of that community in whatever business that we do. And the next slide shows the people that we have reskilled. RateBeat Academy, as I mentioned, the whole idea behind it was to make sure that we give the opportunity to our own staff so that they have the opportunity to be part of that digital journey and to be part of being able to reskill themselves and grow the businesses that we want to be. So, and I think this is one area that most companies may forget, that talent is important. If you want to be relevant and your business to be sustainable for a long time, we need to make sure we get that talent right from the beginning. And reskilling will take time, but it's worth it, right? And that's what we did. We opened it up to the staff. And it so happens that when we first started last year, it was 2 weeks before the first lockdown, and people embraced it. Over 1,200 register. We didn't have any requirements or prerequisite. We want people to be brave and enjoy and understand, what it is in the digital economy right now. What are the digital fundamental skills that they need to do? So they sign up for the digital fundamental courses, which we created with Google. Google is our business partner. And then once they graduated from that digital fundamental course, we gave them 6 tracks that they can choose from to be a specialist of something. So the 6 tracks are digital marketing, product UI UX, cloud infrastructure, cyber security, software engineering, and data science. And as a result, a lot of them actually did very well. So we actually co-created that co-curriculum of that specialized field with our head of tech, head of the tech HODs or the tech head of departments, the respective ones. We did that together with Google as well to make sure that that co-curriculum is something that our own head of technology will employ, because there's no point creating a co-curriculum where our own respective heads in software engineering or data science do not wish to hire them. So we make sure that it's the right skill sets with the right training for the 6 tracks that they have. So, and it's very interesting to see Hazrik, for instance, here, who was our baggage handler, who's graduating to be a data analyst. And we have our aircraft engineering, Mas Ayu, who is graduating from cybersecurity. We have Mustafa, who's doing a digital marketing and so forth. So those who graduated from digital marketing, because their course is the shortest, we have placed them successfully in various businesses, and they're doing very well. And we are also hiring our own aircraft engineer who's now been trained to be a software engineer, to be in some of the software engineering teams across the group. So that's important, and because it gave such good results that we decided to open up to the public. We only started opening up to the public in April last year. And we're working with some government agencies. We're working with some universities who has given micro-credentials, so that meaning for those who has completed these courses of upskilling and reskilling, if they want to continue to do other courses at UTM or in APU, they can do so, or even with Asia School of Business or Imperial College, they can do so as well. Some of them want to take part of the capstone program that we have in the various courses that we have for the tracks and so forth, really. But what is interesting is that this has taken a life on its own, really, because that from that long courses, the long tracks of reskilling these people to various expertise, we saw the opportunity in terms of like, how do we modularize those courses into short tracks? And then we started giving short instructor-led training courses that last for a day or for a week or so. And then we saw that, okay, this is not going to be scalable with just instructor-led training. How do we make this business more scalable? So we built an on-demand learning training platform, which we just made it go live a couple of weeks ago. And you could see a lot of courses that are all video based. It's like a Netflix of training, really. You could choose whatever courses that you want and take your own time when you want to review it. And it's for everybody. It's not just on tech. We have coding for kids as well. We also have businesses there as well. You would see some university put their short courses in there too. And we do a profit sharing basis with the third-party content providers who want to put it on our platform as well. So our aim is to make education affordable and accessible and make them job ready so that they can find jobs immediately after they graduate with the right skill sets and have a career growth for them. So so that's where we are, and the whole digital journey that we have within that short time that we have. I think in 1 year, how we pivoted it in the speed that it was thought to be a bit impossible, but because of the pandemic, we pivoted in a big way, and we have created many businesses. And now for us to grow that businesses and make sure it's as a success as how it was with AirAsia as an airline before. And that ends my presentation. Thank you.
Miss Irene, you have taken us on an amazing journey of AirAsia becoming a travel and lifestyle tech company. Who would have thought, yeah? AirAsia, an airline, has pivoted to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem and creating SOS Campaign, to name a few. Very creative. Our speaker kept emphasizing on one needs to understand the data. You keep repeating that, Miss Irene, and indeed it is true. Miss Irene and her team have turned the 2020 to 2021 challenges or the VUCA situation into opportunities in what we now call the new normal. One has to have the 4 R's, as she mentioned just now. We have to reimagine, repurpose, reskill and upskill, and revitalize the SME community. Now AirAsia is more than just an airline. It's an AirAsia super app, Teleport, BigPay, Santan, AirAsia Farm, Red Beat Academy, and more. Congratulations, very interesting indeed. We now open for the Q&A questions. Our team has given me few questions, not in any particular order, from the participants. We have quite a number actually, but due to constraint of time, we're going to have about 3 or 4 questions. Question 1 is from Adlan Ahmad Bakri. How would AirAsia anticipate and prepare for perhaps some upcoming government policies across the globe that might not align with business agenda?
Okay. Okay, that's a very interesting question. If the government policies may not align with the business agenda. So I think this is where we have to have that conversation or discussion and have an audience with the government in terms of where that policy can be improved and enhanced to facilitate the digital agenda for the economy, right? So we're actually, I mean, if we were going through this digital transformation and we're doing what we needed to do in order to make us relevant and to help with having the economy to embrace the digital economy, it's really important to have that discussion with the government on certain areas of policies that may not facilitate it. Because, like for instance, our own experience with fintech, with the lending license and so forth, I mean, we discovered that the policies were actually written for non-digital businesses, right? It's written for brick and mortar kind of business, and the policies were probably written 50 or 40 years ago. So this is our responsibility to also alert this with the government and have that discussion to explain where are the areas, if you want fintech to be thriving in this part of the world, what do we need to do? If we want to make sure that there is cross-border movements of goods and, to increase the efficiency of customs and so forth, so that's 24 hours delivery and help facilitate e-commerce in this part of the world, then we need to alert the government that these are the issues that we're facing. These are the issues that the industry is facing. It's not just us. And we want to be a true digital player and a hub in this region. There are they need to also listen to the industry players in terms of how things are done and where it can help to get the right kind of growth and so forth. And I think so far the experience that we have has been quite interesting and also because the government has been taking quite a lot of initiative in getting feedback coming from fintech players. For instance, Bank Negara has been fantastic in that, and they have decided, they've created a certain policies and also to facilitate fintech to grow, and now they're looking at insurtech as well. And in relation to e-commerce, MITI has called all the players to, understand what are their challenges so that they are able to help grow and make Malaysia a hub. So these are the areas that, we need to continually engage with the government from the private sector to explain how these businesses work and where we need their help and how we can make a win-win situation to make sure that Malaysia is always at the forefront of the digital economy.
Thank you. Our second question is from Vashti Velda. She's from Universitas Multimedia Nusantara, Indonesia. Her question is, how do AirAsia complete their new business branches, logistics, makeups, etc., during pandemic with the existing brands which are already trusted by consumers as top of mind brands?
Okay, so I think the question was, how do we change that mindset of that consumer that AirAsia is not just an airline carrier? So how do they how do they get that confidence that they can buy other things in AirAsia Super App and can use Teleport and use Big Pay and so forth? I think it's a lot of it is also to do with how we reach out to consumers, how do we do our marketing, how do we do our PR as well. And when we launch certain things, this is where we need to use that database that we have and say, okay, this is what you can do now with AirAsia and so forth. So it's that's a lot of hard work. That's a lot of not just hard work in terms of like reaching out to the consumers, but also in relation to create that brand awareness as well. That we're not just, because the first thing, our brand is so strong that the first thing that comes out to your mind is like AirAsia is airline.
Everyone can fly.
Yes, exactly. So we have a good commercial team and branding team that knows how to flip this and needs to drill with the consumer that there's other things that we're building and so forth. So, and we do this organically, to be honest, because with the limited resources that we have, because we are not earning as much as we used to, we do this organically. And we reach out personally to our consumers, and we do, we use all that social media account that we have and so forth. And we also make sure that we use the media as well to help us out.
Okay, thank you. The third question is from Syed Omar Shahabuddin. Assalamualaikum, I am Syed from UiTM Shah Alam. As we know, the COVID-19 pandemic caused commercial air travel around the world to come to a standstill for several months and up until now. What is the most valuable lesson that AirAsia have learned during this pandemic, and how does this lesson would help AirAsia to improve in terms of managing risk in the future?
Well, I don't think anybody can foresee the pandemic, right? Everybody was caught in that part. Really, I think the most important thing is your own culture, the business culture that any company has to build, because the business culture has to have that can-do attitude. It has to be an agile team effort, because without that, it's very difficult to pivot. It has to have an open mindset to look at areas where we could do better or how we could minimize the risks or mitigate the risks and so forth, and to act fast as well. Like, for instance, when the pandemic hits, what do we need to do first? We need to look out at all the costs that we have. How do we reduce this cost so that it won't be a burden to our cash flow and so forth? And then all those contracts that we have, how can we renegotiate with the business partners to see how we could defer certain payment or put a payment plan in place? So all those needs to be done in the first 2 weeks when we couldn't fly and we had to be grounded, right? So we got to minimize that cost as much as we could and cut any fat that just grew without our knowledge and so forth. Because the first thing that's important for us is to make sure everybody has their jobs, right? So if that means that they need to sacrifice a bit in terms of their allowances or their salaries, they know at least they have a job, and at least they know that they can do other things that could help with the company to be able to survive this situation. And then the other thing, of course, is really to for me is cost. Cost is always very important, whether in good times or in bad times. You really need to manage that cost and make sure that it's efficient, and to also make sure that, you know, understanding where are all your strengths and how can we use that strength to help us and make it into a better situation, or to grow in other ways or so.
Thank you. I think that's the time we have for the Q&A. We have lots actually, Irene, but I think time is not on our side. So we are happy to announce that 3 lucky individuals will receive 1 month free access to on-demand learning platform at RateBeat Academy, courtesy of AirAsia. Thank you very much. It's going to be the 90 plus hours of all you can learn educational content. Learn anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. So the 3 individuals that we have identified and the questions have been put forward to you, Irene, we will contact them and we will give them the token that have been shared with us by AirAsia. Congratulations to the 3. All right. Miss Irene, it was indeed our pleasure to have you here with us. It was a very interesting information on behalf of Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia Business School Deans Council, and University Technology MARA, in particular Ashad Ayub Graduate Business School and Faculty of Business and Management. We would like to say thank you for your time in sharing with us your innovative and creative thinking, as well as your futuristic vision. May you be blessed always. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you very much.
To all Malaysians, happy 64th Malaysia Independence Day, Malaysia Prihatin. I now pass back to Dr. Yvonne for the closing remark.
Thank you very much, Associate Dr. Siti Khalijah. That was a very illuminating session indeed. I'm sure we have all learned new and meaningful information from it. Before we part ways, I'm pleased to invite Yang Berusaha, Professor Dr. Hassan Abu Bakar, the Chairman of Malaysia Business School Deans Council, to deliver the closing remarks. Professor, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Yvonne. Yang berbahagia Professor Dr. Rozia Muhammad Jano, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academics and International Affairs, Miss Irene from AirAsia Digital Group President, Prof. Said Jamal, Ashad Ayub Graduate School of Business, Prof. Yati, Faculty Business Management, and my colleague at the Malaysian Business School Deans Council, my colleague from KPT, our so-called the major stakeholder in Malaysian Business School Deans Council. First of all, Ms. Irene, I would like to thank you. Like I said in our meeting today, this is the beginning of the engagement, continuous engagement between business school and the various industry concerned in Malaysia. I just would like to share with you one of the things that when we have this idea, I give example of when from UUM, we have a dual degree program with Sheldon Luba Business School, University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. And then, you know, Milwaukee is famous for Harley Davidson. And in the MBA class, one of the speaker is the CEO of Harley Davidson come and give a talk on a strategic management. So I hope that this is the beginning, like I said, where Malaysian CEO will come and share their experience, share their thought, share their idea about how actually the organization operates. I know what you show is like, you share with us is beyond what we have in the classroom. But again, I promise, Prof. Jamal, I will take long because we have a Friday pray. And lastly, I would like to thank Ashad Ayub for organizing this with, of course, Faculty of Business Management, UiTM. Then to my colleague at the Business Deans Council, we are very pleased with this outcome. I was told that there's more than 450 viewers for this session. Then, like I said, inshallah, this is the beginning. Over to you back, Dr. Yvonne. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. As the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. I would like to thank our guest of honor, Ms. Irene Omar, the speaker for today's informative talk. A big thank you goes to the organizing committee from both school and faculty, and also to all our esteemed guests for spending their time with us today. I hope that we may once again meet for such an event in the future. Stay healthy and stay safe.